Crispy Bomb. Let's get into this report. I want to read verbatim from this news article from Jez Corden of Windows Central. Now, if you want to read the entire article, which I suggest that you do, it is in the show notes. Simply just click and read on. It's already been added, so you can do that once this show is done and goes up on video on demand. And the article starts out with Xbox's handheld ambitions continue unabated, but the focus is shifting towards improving Windows 11 for third-party handhelds. And for now, obviously the Xbox version is going to be put on hiatus. The Xbox Series X successor is totally safe, with development continuing at full pace. So again, folks, before you fall for the banana in the tailpipe with these doom and gloomers, they're still making the next-gen console that is going to be open-sourced. And if that pisses you off, I don't know what to tell you, but that is the reality. That is still happening. Let me continue. Jez goes on to say this: I come to you today with some fresh news about Xbox's handheld plans. Previously, I reported that Microsoft was working on a native Xbox handheld alongside the Xbox Series X successor, planned to launch around 2027. It now seems that Microsoft's priorities have shifted somewhat. Just to emphasize here, it is not the Xbox Asus device Keenan that is being pushed back. It's Microsoft's own eternal Xbox handheld that has been shelved in parentheses for now. I have a variety of code names for this unseen device, but it is unclear as of this writing which exactly are the correct ones. At the moment, it seems that there are 3 prototype devices in development for Microsoft's Gen 10 effort, with the handheld being parked for now. Crispy, look, again, this was announced yesterday. This was a bit of a shock. Am I disappointed? I guess a little bit, but it's also a console that is not supposed to release for another 2+ years. So when they say delay, delay for what? Like the game, it's not coming out anytime soon. Obviously, they want to have their own device. And again, the minute this story dropped, the doomers and gloomers came out and said, you see, just like they said it was only going to be 4 games. They went multi-plat. It's going to be no consoles. Folks, look, my opinion on this is as simplistic as can be, because it means we're talking money. And I want this to be completely clear. If you believe that there's not going to be Xbox hardware, I don't know what to tell you. Right? I'm not going to argue with you. Believe all you want. But here is where that gets curb stomped. Xbox Game Pass currently has, we all believe, to be at least 40 million subscribers. That is across PC, Xbox Series X and S, and Xbox One X and S. Right? 40 million humans subscribe to Game Pass because it's the best service in gaming. Let's just say, for some shits and giggles here, that 1/4, meaning 10 million of those subscribers are on PC, which we know PC is gaining ground every quarter because they just reported a 45% year-over-year gain for Xbox Game Pass for PC. So let's just say, again, for shits and giggles, that it's 10 million. That still leaves 30 million console paying players. You think Xbox is just going to be like, you know what? We don't really need them. PC's enough. So we're not going to do consoles anymore. That's ridiculous. And you sound like a knucklehead if that's the narrative you're running with. So again, this is a pause on the development of the handheld to get Windows 11 for their current partnered devices right. Doesn't mean that the handheld isn't coming out. It will come out at some point, because Jez Corden literally said it. And when he gets these exclusives, folks, he's talking to the man himself. We know this to be a fact. He is literally talking, and probably got this information from Phil Spencer. Now, I don't have that confirmed, but we do know Jez is super close to this stuff. And if there's anyone that you can trust, I think it's Jez Corden. let's get your thoughts on the potential sidelining Crispy Bomb.
Why would you tread over your partners? I think that's the first question you need to ask. You hear me?
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, think about it. It's one of those things that you look at the landscape and what Xbox is doing. And the one problem that me and Boom have called out many times is that you support these other companies, but you don't give us the experience we want. It's not everyone's need for an experience, but there's a certain subset that says we want the console experience on this said handheld. And how many times you told me I bought this, little do they know, but it's long enough. You sold me the Steam Deck. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things, like, I agree. Wasn't for me. Was for the kid that's gonna, do all the PC BS. Okay, I don't want that. I don't. And there's a lot of people that don't want that. They just want to boot it up and play Game Pass. And the one thing they've proven is that you could do that on a freaking TV. Okay? Like, yeah, it doesn't work exactly like the console would do, but it's not bad. I mean, I have a TV for it. It's constantly popping up all kinds of new games that are coming to Game Pass, and it wants me to just use the TV rather than the console itself. But we've always give them crap about not being able to do this in certain areas, and this is one of them. They did not do this correctly. And why not take a step back, say, we need to make, you want to call it an app, you want to call it the source of what you want to play, and how it changes and what you see and how you boot it up. Like, these are things that they need to think about. And we've talked about this months ago. This is the problem that they have, because they're not in the mobile space technically. You know what I'm saying? They release games that are on mobile, and yeah, I'm sure there's handhelds that obviously play Windows, but at the same time, it's so all over the place. If you're gonna bring to fruition this greatness that is Game Pass, and trust me, if you are a Game Pass sub, you are eating good. But at the same time, to buy a handheld right now, and I am sure, like, people think differently, but even the new series of consoles under your TV themselves are going to have PC capability. I am sorry. This is where they're at, and they will take a hit on that. I think they're trying to gain money right now by raising the price, because they are willing to take the hit of what they're about to come out with. But at the same time, there's a lot of people like myself that would just like to be able to play Xbox on a handheld, a decent handheld.
Yep.
That has a decent amount of power, probably, and more than likely they're looking at the Switch 2 and be like, okay, we got to upgrade that like tenfold. Think about it. Okay, how are you going to sell people to buy a handheld, like an actual Xbox branded handheld, and beat out the Switch 2? That's probably what they're looking at. And people could say PlayStation all day. You ain't got nothing right now. Y'all can't even, you're fumbling over your own head right now. Okay. I ain't talking about you. You're looking at handhelds, and more than likely people are going to either buy a PC type handheld or they're going to buy a Nintendo Switch. Other than that, what else you got? Okay. So imagine them allowing and helping ROG to also help themselves
Yep.
and change their app and how it works. Does it boot up like an Xbox? Why not allow your partner to kind of take the hit, but also help them develop it? And I think it comes from a lot of us that said, hey, I just want to boot up and play Xbox. Game Pass? Yes. If I have, and you keep seeing it, they keep adding more and more games that you've purchased to the cloud. Okay? Like, you got to realize that they haven't developed for this type of thing for a long time, since like the Windows Phone and stuff like that. But then the people that hate Xbox will be like, well, this means that they're going to die. No, people, they still have a Surface, okay? You could still buy a brand new Surface. There's certain platforms that they care about, and this is one of them. And they will make crazy stuff like AI and all this other stuff to try to push their entire narrative, because they really want to sell you Windows, but they really want to sell you Xbox as well for the gaming aspect. And I think they're trying to figure that out. It's going to take some time. And I think the shelving is not a bad thing, because if you buy the new ROG, you're going to be like, man, this is not great at first, or it's great, or it's going to become great because they keep supporting it, because it's their partner. We've seen this time and time again. If they go for something, they go for it. But it's also developing in-house what they actually need to do with their actual handheld themselves. And I think it's a smart play. I also think that they don't want to take away from what they're about to do in the actual under the TV console space. And I think we're going to see it by next year.
I think you're onto something. I mean, again, folks, you got to remember, I know somebody in the chat just said that they want something that's dockable to their TV. Well, you can do that with any of the ROGs. You can do that with any of the Steam Decks. So when this ROG Ally, the Asus ROG Ally comes out, that, the Xbox version or partnered version of it releases, you'll be able to dock that to your TV and it'll run the way it's supposed to run. So that's not gonna hinder anything. Silent Cypher, I want to bring you in, and let's get because I saw somebody just post that how could this be a delay if it was never officially announced? Well, it's not really. We here did not announce it as a delay for the podcast. We talked about literally using Jez Gordon's word from the article, where it's just been sidelined. Simply, they're going to pause development on it, and they're going to work with getting the Windows 11 integration on their partnered PC handhelds correct first, where everything is seemingly works as just an Xbox, meaning that if you have or already own a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally, when this this version comes out, this streamlined version, it's going to just simply be an app download. I want to get your thoughts on that.
So yeah, I think I'm probably in a different mindset than some of you guys are with the phrasing on this. That's nice that they're sidelining it. That to me reads off as PR speak for, yeah, we're quietly canning this thing because there's other.
I mean, I thought that as well. That's a great point, dude.
Well, the thing is like, sure, Jez has a great record. That's great. And at the time, him getting this information, being told that it's being sidelined for now, like, sure, that might be the case for now. But it wouldn't surprise me if Microsoft did decide to sideline this and can it altogether, because there's a lot of stuff at play across the globe at this point in time. We talk about it previously. And given the climate of tech pricing right now, and potentially with what's coming down the pike, why wouldn't you want to just say, hey, my third party collaboration over here with ROG, why don't I just let you deal with the hardware And I don't have to worry about eating the cost on that sucker, because let's face it, even with the consoles, they're not making money. There's a reason why we're not paying $300 for a Series X at this point in time. It's because tech prices are too high.
Yep.
And we're not going to see that benefit. They're not going to eat the cost for us to get a cheaper system. We've already seen this. So it wouldn't surprise me, if they just said, hey, we're collaborating already. Let's let you take the hardware burden and we'll just keep doing our thing. They're successful in Game Pass at this point in time. They're doing a lot of stuff with the mobile function. So it's like, if they decide to can it, it wouldn't surprise me, because it's like, this right here, this is an Xbox. Like, it's what their marketing and advertising says. This is an Xbox. My TV upstairs that has internet connection is an Xbox. So if they're having hardware issues already, or if they're having things where it's not working just the way that they want it, then why are they going to take the hit on that R&D if they know that they're going to get diminishing returns? So that's kind of where I stand from it. In regards to this idea of it being sidelined, I think the thing that bums me out is that with a actual dedicated Microsoft handheld, we would be getting that specific UI and it would be baked in. I don't like the idea of another Windows 11 modified version. I already have a ROG Ally. So if you're going to sell me something that's like that, but slightly more tailored, I'm really not interested. You're not going to sell hardware to me that way. So the thing I want to see, though, like you mentioned, is like an app where you're able to go into that thing and function it just like it's an Xbox. You load up the app, it gives you the layout.
It looks like your console, but on a handheld. That is the experience that I want. And I would assume that's what you want as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Like if you give me that, that's what I want. Because realistically, like if I want to play PC, I can play PC. But I like the simplicity, the concise navigation and everything of just an Xbox dashboard. You get to what you want to play. You play the game. You bounce out, bounce in whenever you want to. You don't have to futz around with logging into your stupid Windows profile. You don't have to do all these things. It does it. It puts you in the game. You're good. So if that can still be a thing, you don't have to have hardware for that either. Like I would argue, if you have an app for that, I can play it on my ROG Ally right now. Yeah. Of which, why the hell would I care to buy more hardware? If you're going to bring out something that's just a third party. Like I had interest in the idea of like a first party one because I know it'll be more custom tailored to that experience. And if that's not coming, or if it's being sidelined, it's cool. I'm not going to buy hardware for a while. I really don't give a crap. I'll still play games one way or another.
Yeah. No, it makes perfect sense. Again, I think ultimately anyone that currently has a handheld that is more PC centric understands that it's just the Armory crate and you launch it and you go, like on the ROG Ally. And supposedly it's even easier with the Steam Deck, right? Literally pick a game, your library pops up and you go. I think people like myself who want a much more simplistic version, like I want whatever this UI is going to be to look and operate like the Switch. When I go to play Animal Crossing on the go, or I'm playing one of the shooters that I buy, it's simply you press the power button on, the squares come up of your games, you press it and you're in. You go. That's it. I think a lot of gamers want that simplicity. And again, it's not technically officially announced, and we know that they were working on it. So I don't really think it's a delay. I think you might be onto something. It could be when you say we're going to pause, or we're going to sideline it, we're going to hold off on doing it until we get this other thing right. That could be because of the market. Like you got to remember, they were all in on VR until they weren't. And why did they stop doing VR? Well, for one, it wasn't selling, right? Yep. And two, it's super expensive to make this thing. So maybe, and again, I'm just spitballing here, Korkenstein, maybe this sideline move has to do with the current market conditions and future and long-term looks down the road. But maybe it's like, well, you know what? We said we were going to partner up with ROG. Maybe they both came to a decision that they would split development costs on this thing, and instead of spending full-on monies from Microsoft, they go halvesies with ROG Ally, which, by the way, is a hardware maker. So they simply invest in the development of this ROG Ally X Xbox console. What are your thoughts on that, Korkenstein?
Yeah, I don't know. This whole leaker culture and insider culture is just toxic. Basically, it's
Yeah.
a bunch of people just saying, "Oh, this," it happens every year, and I'm surprised the showcase stuff hasn't happened yet. Oh, this is going to be there at Xbox. I know this for sure. It goes to all the media sites. Oh my God, this game's going to be there. And then when it doesn't show up, Xbox stepping on rakes again. How dare they not show this game at this thing? And Xbox is like,
but we never said that it was going to be
what
there.
did I do? Like, what did I do? Like, what, it happens every year. And this is just another case of that where something not even really announced. I know Phil has talked about it where he's like, they're looking into it, but they've never like made a official statement saying, hey, we're going to come out with our own handheld, like here it is kind of thing. And it just seems to be just a bunch of FUD, especially now, because now I'm seeing that the narratives are turning to this is Xbox, this is a wrap. Xbox is giving up on hardware. And
Oh yeah.
No, did you not read the second part of Jez's tweet where he's saying that they're literally still working full steam on the next Xbox console?
Right.
It's frustrating because like stuff like this happens all the time, especially right before showcase. They doom and gloom because they already know,
dude. Yes,
Xbox is gonna spit hot fire, and that's just what it is. They're just gonna come in and everybody forgets about all this doom and gloom after the showcase. And I don't know. I'm over that part. I do think if this I'll play along. Let's say this is true. I think it's a great move by Xbox. The handheld market is very heavy right now. You're not going to get somebody to come over and spend, especially with market conditions, like you said. And this is, we got to look with everything going on, with the tariffs. They're on, they're not on, they're on, they're not on. It's going back and forth. Xbox probably has no idea how they're going to price this thing, how they're going to build it. And right now coming out with a handheld that's going to be $1,000 plus, or potentially $1,000 plus. You're not going to get people coming over from Steam OS. You're not going to get people coming over from the ROG or Lenovo. They already got these you're really going to have to make an awesome machine for people to be like, okay, I'm going to, upgrade, I guess, or switch ecosystems, in that sense. And you're not going to get that. Especially when something's like 1,000, especially unless you, like I said, unless you have like a major, like heavy upgrade machine, which again is probably going to cost $1,000 plus, which people aren't going to spend right now. It's better just to, like I said, have ROG. Just let ROG do their thing, license your stuff, kind of get some things, have them eat a majority of the costs for production. You could probably subsidize and help them with that. But in the most part, ROG's probably going to be eating majority of those costs for development and manufacturing. So let them do that. Work on your infrastructure. It would be a big waste for them to push these to push the handheld out. And the UI sucks. It's not integrated properly. There's no synergy between what they're trying to do where everything's an Xbox. It would suck if, the Windows OS on it was horrible and didn't integrate well. Well, now this isn't an Xbox because you can't get it to function with Xbox the way you want it to. So best thing to do, I think they're still going to do it. They're probably just maybe kind of going back to the drawing board a little bit. They're going to take a look and see, hey, let's get our infrastructure down to where everything's, working in harmony. Like I said, I've already said before, the GDK came out with the Series X and they switched everything over because while you're developing for PC on the GDK, you're also developing for Xbox. That's just what you just have to add in. I think it's like the GDK X. And that will give you the Xbox ecosystem. But you pretty much already have a fully functioning Xbox game developed with the GDK if you're just releasing on PC. So we'll have to see what happens coming up. Like I said, I think right now Jez is. I don't think he meant any ill will by this. It's just people doing what people do. Grifters doing what they do best, and that's troll and grift and all that stuff, and creating false narratives. Supposedly, there's a third SKU that he's talking about as well.
Yes,
I think
there's three things in development at Xbox. One was the handheld. One was the next console. And what's the other thing? I mean, could that be the
cloud
deck
machine
of cards thing that goes next to your TV? That's like an Apple TV, but except it's Xbox. I mean, that was in development. I don't know if that's what it is, but it could be. We'll have to see.
Yeah, it's Pembroke, Cardigan, and Melrose are the three project names. So we'll see. I mean, let's just wait to the showcase. Let's see what happens at the showcase. Let's wait till Xbox gets their chance to actually market and push the stuff they want people to know about first, before we start jumping to conclusions and all of that stuff and creating narratives. Let's give Xbox. They've cooked before. We've let them cook, and it's been totally awesome. We've let them release stuff the way they want to release it, and it's been successful. I'm tired of Xbox constantly having to defend creative narratives that they've never created themselves.
You know what? Phenomenal points. I mean, that's worth the golf clap for sure, because that's exactly what's going on. False narratives. First of all, shout out to one of the best in the business, Hazador Gaming. What's going on, brother? He is one of the best on X. I don't know if you're on Blue Sky, because I am, but I'm not. I can only do one social media spot at a time. My brain can't take that much more. It's a lot. So we love to have you here, brother. Great to have you here in the chat. And just just a big thank you to all the work that you do in the community. Folks, if you're not following Hazador Gaming, you're doing it wrong. I'm going to tell you that right now. But Fuzzy Belvedere, let's get your hot takes on this, because everyone has knocked it out of the park, in my opinion, as we close in on 800 live viewers on a Friday morning. Of course, that is Twitch, that is X, and of course, YouTube. We appreciate everyone that's checking out the show. But I want to get your thoughts on this, Fuzzy Belvedere, because the one thing that Xbox cannot do, and would be a real hinder to their Xbox Everywhere plans, is to release a UI that's different on every piece of device. Like, you can't have a different UI on the Steam Deck versus the ROG Ally. It's got to be a unison kind of a thing. And I look, I'm going to be honest with you. I agree with the whole, this is not delayed because it was never officially announced. It has been rumored to be in effect. We've heard Phil Spencer himself say that, yes, they want to get into the handheld business. They believe that it's a market. But like the VR situation, things change. And I get very frustrated when people put the flag into the sand and say, well, no, Phil said it, so Phil lied. Right? He said that they were going to work on a handheld. It's called Project whatever. Things change, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not saying that I'm okay with this. I would love an Xbox dedicated device. But if you're going to give me a UI that gives me everything that I get with my console, I honestly don't care who makes it. Whether that be Lenovo, whether that be Alienware, whether that be Dell, or even, of course, ROG. Whoever puts out a console that allows me to play my Xbox games, any of them, and gives me a UI that's similar to what I get on my console, I'm in. Now, am I going to buy every console that comes out? No, I won't need to. I just need one really good one, and hopefully the ROG Ally Xbox One is. Let's get your thoughts on this supposed delay, even though it wasn't announced. But the story from Jez Corden, I think, was very clear. Like, literally in the first paragraph, he confirms that hardware, standardized under the TV hardware, is full steam ahead. This has just been sidelined. Let's get your thoughts on that, man.
Well, Gabe Newell is probably the straw that's breaking the camel's back on the handheld right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said this before, like SteamOS, there was rumors, like a year or two, that they were looking at doing the Steam box again. and they're trying to reiterate on the Steam OS. So that way, if you didn't want to install Windows on a PC and you just wanted to make it a gaming rig, you could probably do so. We've had some in the community kind of do that already with their PCs and have it where they can start it up like it's a console by hitting the Xbox button on their controller. So Steam has been hard at work at expanding beyond what they are into right now. Microsoft, on the other hand, thought that they didn't have to worry about stuff like that as much, so they focused on the UI. So I don't think it's a UI thing. The key thing that's causing them to probably put this on pause is to basically move resources from developing that, testing it in the field kind of thing, and reiterating on as far as your library and integration and making sure that the cross save and cross progression stuff is seamless. Now they want to move resources because Windows 11 is getting its teeth kicked in on these handhelds. You could buy the exact same handheld from Legion, and when it runs with Windows 11 with its pre-installed settings, it runs like dog poop in comparison to SteamOS on there. Now, all of that can be remedied by adjusting some of the power optimization on that. There are some other tweaking things that they could do that would actually make it more online with the Steam Deck or the Steam OS on that device. And moving forward, I think that's what they're going to focus on. They kind of ignored that because they figured the more important part was making sure that you could, integrate, or instead of having the side load, you would automatically have a way to reach your Steam library, your Epic library, and all that stuff, which they've already got that kind of down pat. But the power controls and things along those lines, where the battery life preset with the current Windows 11 settings is like 3 hours, but there is ways to get double that amount of time out of it without having to go to an ARM chip. That would be like the Snapdragon chips for some of the laptops would be a much better approach for their device, which I don't know if they're still debating behind the scenes on whether to go ARM or stay with AMD or whatever the case may be. But currently that Windows 11 software, which is the baseline for everything, it's never really been the greatest for being a gaming device. It's been pretty much a jack of all trades, and that's what they got to work on. As far as the handheld, I think it still makes its appearance, whether it's within the same timeline as the under the TV console or shortly thereafter. But I think in the meantime, the ROG Ally Xbox partner device will probably be the thing that will be more of their case study, that they can decide on how to move forward or whether to even move forward. And there's that possibility that they could out and out cancel it altogether if that ROG Ally Xbox device seems sufficient enough as far as selling software from their store. Then they probably won't necessarily invest the hundreds of millions to continue making their own device if that one's already killing it for them in that way, with still being kind of branded loosely as an Xbox device. So there's a lot of other things moving behind the scenes, but I think right now, when SteamOS did its most recent update, that's what they got kind of caught off guard. I don't know why. I think anybody that's been in the handheld space, whether it's with the Steam Deck or ROG Ally or Legion Go or MSI Claw, any of those other devices like the IO Neo devices out there, we've seen that Steam has been working hard with the unstable software, which it's stable. It's just that it's pretty much in beta or alpha form. And now they've gotten a fully functional one that can go on just about any device. So we'll start seeing people that may have bought a ROG Ally, an original one or original ROG Ally X that had Windows 11 on it, and they go and overwrite it with SteamOS. And that would probably be a better situation until Xbox gets that end of the software stuff figured out. But canceled, sidelined, we'll see. They're still working hard on getting on these handhelds and having a great console-like experience. Because like right now, a lot of people have to use, I think it's Bazite or I can't remember the exact software, but that seems to be an improvement over what's offered through Windows at this point. So things along those lines, if the end user has to customize their device to make it function as well as, something that comes fresh out of the box from Steam, or with the software that they are going to allow you to install on those existing handheld devices, then Microsoft as a whole or Windows as a whole has a uphill battle that they're going to have to fight. And I think that's what they're putting their focus on, is fighting that battle to make sure that their software, not just the UI, because that's kind of, easy for them for the most part, but the behind the scenes stuff, all the stuff that runs in the background or doesn't necessarily have to run in the background. Some people refer to it as bloat. Some of it is bloat. Some of it is just operational stuff that can be tweaked a little bit better, so you don't use up the battery as much when the game is on its like title menu. You shouldn't be kicking in the fans and using a lot of the power that it uses. So we'll see. I think it's a little early as far as for panic on them getting out of the handheld space and stuff. But I will say, if you've seen the recent comparisons, I forget the guy's name, something 2D, did a thing where he compared the Legion Go S on both Windows as well as Steam. And then other people have done the same and found that if you just adjust the power settings, pretty much you can get equal or better performance out of the Windows 11. It's just that it's not set that way out of the box. And for console guys getting into that space, that's going to be a problem, trying to convince them, go through all these menus and do this, and your device that you just bought will work better than this other device that you could have bought and would work great right out of the box. And that's all.